Hi, today I'd like to talk to you about this pen. This is a Visconti Ragtime, and if I figured this out correctly, I think I have. This is the Visconti Ragtime Medici, which was released in 2000, making this almost a vintage pen. Which, speaking as someone who graduated high school in 1997, but I guess that's how things go. Anyway, there's a lot to like about this pen. It's not very large, but it's got a piston filler. It's got an interesting clip. It has a very cool styling. And all that stuff you're going to see when I talk about the parts of the pen, which I'm going to do next. After that, I'm going to give this pen some ratings out of 5, rating the design, the comfort, and the writing experience. Then I'm going to do a writing sample, and then we'll be done. So let's take a closer look at this pen. Okay, so let's take a look at the parts of this pen. As you can see, it's a black pen with some designs engraved in it. The body and the cap are made of lucite. But let's start with the cap. So the cap is a kind of a bullet shape. It has a rounded top. On the top it has the Visconti, the word Visconti kind of around the circle. It's shiny and clear on top there. A shiny top, and then it has this cool Art Deco design clip where it says Visconti in this kind of swirly stuff. Reminds me of like ads from Paris in the 30s or whatever. Keeping with like the whole ragtime thing, right? Then you have the same kind of swirly designs, and it says ragtime. The designs go down the clip, and this is like a vintage looking, old school looking clip, you know. I could see that on a vintage pen. And then it's actually relatively robust, and I like this clip a lot better than the modern nowadays Visconti. Now we have the texture on the cap here, and I'll give you a close-up of that. So there's a close-up on the cap. You can see the designs are shiny, and then the textured on these inset parts. And you can also see a lot closer the designs in the chrome looking bands. I don't think it's sterling silver because I don't see any stamps on it, but I might be wrong. And you can see the ragtime, and you can see the Visconti, and then you can read the Visconti word going in circles around the top. Alright, so let's bring in the body of the pen. So here's the body of the pen. It's got ink in it, but you can see actually there, you can see the ink moving around. It's that ink window. The body has its same designs with the shiny and the texture. The silver band there, and it tapers down a bit on the shiny end. It's got some nubs there, and this comes right off. And it has this, which is the mechanism that works the piston. It kind of looks like a captive converter, but you see the piston moving against the window here. So I don't think it's a captive converter. I think it's actually a piston filler. My only thing I don't love about it is that this seems like it has a little bit of play back and forth here, like that, with no kind of tension. It's not moving any of the parts, but if you move it around, it's got a little bit of rattle. Then you have the section, and the threads are very smooth. No problem there. Hourglass section, which I like the shape of, but the size is really quite small. Then you have the nib, which is a 14K nib. It says Visconti with like the splash, which is quite normal. So it's a 14K white gold nib on this. And it says M down here because this is a medium. Then you have the feed. And those are the parts of the pen. Let's give this pen some ratings, and then we'll do a writing sample. Okay, so those are the parts of the pen. Let's give this pen some ratings out of 5. Let's start with the design. The design I think is very cool. I really like the Art Deco styling, the little Visconti on the top, this clip which looks very vintage. I really like that. It reminds me of vintage pens I've seen. And I gotta say that, well, one, it's a functioning clip, which makes it better than the Visconti like kind of solid bar clips, which I don't love. And actually, I don't love the design of those clips. I like the design of this one better. And then the engraving or the type work is interesting. It's got the ink window. It's weird that it's got the end cap that comes off and you turn it. It's not a captive converter because you can see the piston working against the barrel here, so it is a piston filler. But it kind of looks like a captive converter, which I explained when I did the parts of the pen. So design, I do like it a lot. I'm going to give it a 4. For comfort, I'm going to give it a 3. Pretty small pen, very small section. You could post it, I suppose, but I don't know why anyone would. The texture in the pen is actually nice. It feels good in the hand, so that's nice. Still, not the most comfortable for especially long writing. But the writing, for the writing experience, the rating I'm going to give that is a 4.5. Writes really smoothly, nice and wet, no skips, just goes, which is everything you want in a pen, really. So that's what I think of the Visconti Ragtime. Now I'm going to do a writing sample, and then we're done. Alright, let's do a writing sample. This is the Visconti Ragtime Medici, and you can see in my hand it's not a super large pen. The nib is a medium, nice and wet, and the ink is Mont Blanc Lavender. Yeah, it shows up pretty black in this image here, but it's actually a really kind of deep purple. It's also coming out quite wet because you'll see this is a wet pen. So let's do some writing. Quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. This is actually a really nice pen to write with. It's very smooth, it's very wet, it's generous with the ink. Without being like, this is actually a pretty quick dry ink, but without being too wet and too sloppy, it's just a nice, generous nib. Scribbling it out very, very fast, and it keeps up, which is nice. Coloring, yeah, it's a nice solid patch, no mist spots there. Nice and wet, but very smooth. Is there any kind of line variation? A little bit, you kind of expect it, but not a ton. I'm not pushing very hard at all, but I don't feel like it's going to really give any more than that. Yeah, so this is actually just a really nice pen to write with, and I gotta say that Viscontis are not my favorite pens. Like, they are some really nice pens, like, don't get me wrong. Style-wise, they're acrylics, and they're different kind of plastic they use are really nice. They have some cool feeling mechanisms, some of them. They're trying new things with nibs. Just trying a monster like I always do. And I like all those things, but there's something about them, their style, that just doesn't grab me in a lot of them. I really dislike that clip. So actually, that's why I like this one with this kind of Art Deco looking clip. Yeah, really like. I know that there's been Ragtimes were originally released way back in the 90s, and I think that in 2008 they did a different version, and maybe of 120 pens. I think that one was much larger than this one. But this one, as far as I can tell, because of the design on there, is the Medici. And yeah, it's very cool, and it's lucite. The only other pen I can think of that was made of lucite, I think, wasn't the 100-year pen made of lucite? Or maybe not. I might have that one wrong. But it's still kind of cool, and has a nice feel to it. Feels robust. Feels like it could really last. I'm not sure if you can hear that slight rattle from the thing being a little bit loose there. I'm not 100% certain what's up with that. But still, really fun pen to play with. This is the pen that was loaned to me to give it a review. and I always appreciate when that happens. So thank you very much for letting me play with your pen. Monster in Space. So that's the review. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, feel free to hit the like button. You can subscribe. There's lots of videos. There's lots more coming. Drawing videos, pen reviews, etc. But until then, goodbye.